Story 1. I wasted 10 years of my life behind a desk at a bank. I gained a bunch of weight and felt miserable the whole time. I also did not like any of the people I worked with. I decided to become a firefighter after speaking with some guys I knew on my local department. It took me 4 years to get on, but when I finally did, it was one of the happiest moments of my life. I have been on for about 2.5 years, and at the age of 36, you could not pay me enough money to go back to work at a bank. It's not worth it. So I guess this is a point of confusion for some reason. I did not leave a teller position making $10 per hour. I left at the height of my 10-year career. Yes, a firefighter makes more than a teller, personal banker, or customer service representative. Those are entry-level positions that require a week of training to do. As a firefighter, I received some of the best training in the country from a department with a good amount of national recognition for its size. I live in the Midwest, where the cost of living, as well as pay, is not nearly what they are in a major metropolitan area or on the East or West Coast. Also, sorry about the grammar and stuff. I am on my phone. Glad I can answer a lot of questions. Keep them coming. Story 2. I worked a high-paying blue-collar job that was very stressful, very physically demanding, and that almost nobody retired with their health. The money was good. The best year was $134,000, but averaged in the low $100,000 range. It was a great paying job for guys with no college degree, and the benefits were excellent. I stayed for 14 years, but for the last 5 to 6 years, I was miserable. I stayed because I had a family, and I felt like I had to keep making that money. I left over 3 years ago, and it's been tough at times, but I work in a much better environment, and I kind of like being treated like a human being at work. I make half of what I used to make, but I'm finishing my degree while I work, and I can see the light at the end of the tunnel in terms of money and security. I like managing business and people, and I like helping people solve problems that come up. I get to do that daily now, and it's nice to not hate going to work. My biggest regret is that I probably won't get to retire nearly as early, but I'm glad to trade that time for health and happiness. There's so much more to life than that extra money. I was once told to do what you love because you'll probably run out of health before you run out of money. So, I guess my kids won't get as big of an inheritance, but Dad is not a miserable old man either, so I guess that's the trade-off. Laughing out loud. Story 3. I decided to go from a $250,000 a year to an $80,000. I just didn't like the stress and amount of time that the higher-paying job came with. I can't say I love the job I'm doing now, but it pays the bills, and I have to do very little and hardly ever interact with other people. No real regrets, and who knows, one day I might decide to go back to the higher-paying job. Story 4. I'm going to contribute even though mine wasn't intentional. I was doing information technology support for a big company and doing very well at it. Almost $90,000 per year, amazing benefits plus bonuses. After not too long, the entire department got laid off and moved to India. Shocker, I know. I now make a little less than 2/3 of that overall compensation. The difference is I absolutely love my job and do it completely from home. I would say it's had a huge impact on my entire family. My relationship with my wife and children is much better because I'm rested, I'm fulfilled, the stress and constantly being on call are removed. More than worth it. Story 5. I was a delivery manager at a pharmacy making somewhat decent money up until March 2019. Every morning I woke up, I dreaded going in. The owner was a difficult person as well. I was in welding school at the time and found a job in a shop and was offered $12 an hour to start, which was a huge pay cut. A little over a year later, now, I am a full-time aerospace welder and make a little more than at my previous job. Things are looking up. Story 6. In the process of doing so, I am leaving a $75,000 a year job for a $40,000 a year job. Where I am now, I can't see myself moving up any higher. I'm treated as a child by corporate management even when my sales exceed that of company veterans. I'm going into a different field that will open more opportunities for me and hopefully get me in a workplace that gives me the respect that I deserve. But I'm going in with little knowledge, so I'll be starting off with a low income. Edit. Spelling. Story 7. I had a $100,000 plus sales job with a multinational company with a great pension and benefits. I also own shares in a family business. So, I had backup wealth to quit my job and become a recording studio owner and a songwriter. I started in 1996, when the digital revolution killed the ability to make a decent living in the music industry for most. I didn't realize it at the time and had my dream. I'm now tired of working my ass off for pennies, but have been out of the sales game too long and am not finding success getting back in. I have maintained and grown my nest egg, but if I had to do it all over again, I would have stayed in my sales job and enjoyed the added lifestyle benefits and pension wealth my previous job provided. Story 8. A friend of mine went straight to Wall Street after graduation. He was making a lot of money but said he couldn't spend it. He worked so much that he couldn't even move from his crappy apartment he got when he first moved there. I think it was about a year later he left for a lower-paying job. Still in finance and trading but different somehow. I don't know exactly what he does. Obviously, he still gets paid well. He works 9 to 5, 5 days a week, and is happy. I don't think he has any regrets. Story 9. Went straight into full-time work when I left school. Worked my way up to a reasonably well-paying job in the jewelry trade over the span of 10 years. Moved on from there to the motor trade where I was a pretty successful car salesman and car sales manager. The money I was earning and had further potential to earn in that job was frankly silly. In March and September, which is traditionally when new car registrations are released in the United Kingdom, it wasn't uncommon for me and the team I was part of to be averaging a take-home pay of £6,000 plus. So that's £12,000 just from 2 months of the year. It was a different world, but my health began to suffer. Too long spent surviving on coffee and sugary junk food, combined with long hours of sitting at a desk, led to being diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, and high cholesterol. I also ended up overweight. This was the snap out of it and stop chasing money moment for me. What's worth more, my car or my health? So from there, I worked a couple of basic retail jobs which taught me to live on a lower wage, spend more wisely, and most importantly, switch off from work when I wasn't actually there. During that time, I started selling some of my stuff on eBay and got bitten by the e-commerce bug. I have been buying products and selling online as my full-time source of income ever since. It's not mega money, but it's enough and can always be scaled up to make more. The feeling of not answering to anyone, doing pretty much whatever I want whenever I want, having more time for my wife and family, and not being a tightly wound ball of stress all the time is worth more than the money. Health-wise, my diabetes is under control with minimal medication, and my blood pressure and cholesterol returned to normal levels. Until the whole quarantine thing, I'd lost around 4 stone or 56 pounds in weight just from changing my diet habits and not stress eating. Story 10. I was a marine engineer. I had a job earning $40,000 per year, with the potential to earn $100,000 per year. I worked for about 3 years. I hated my job because I was not good at it and disliked the claustrophobic environment with a 65-degree temperature. I quit and completed a Master of Business Administration and now work in a corporate environment where I earn around $18,000 per year. It's been 10 years since I quit, and I regret it every single day. It was definitely the worst decision of my life. If I could go back, I would have more patience and tolerance. My lesson is that life is not easy anywhere, and money is important. Don't quit your high-paying job. Story 11. I made the choice to hold on to the high-paying job until I didn't have to work at all rather than getting a low-paying job. I very happily retired at 45. Story 12. I worked in oil and gas starting just after college in 2012 until late 2018 when I quit and started working at a small motion control and robotics company. I was making about $110,000 and am now just over $80,000. So bear in mind that while it was a major pay cut, I'm not exactly begging for food here. I absolutely love it. At my last job, I hated knowing that when I did something well, I was just getting crude oil out of the ground more efficiently. Nothing I did actually made the world a better place. Now, not only am I far more challenged mentally, but the things I work on go into the cutting edge of science and engineering innovation. Absolutely would do it again. I was also being pushed to go to Saudi Arabia when I left, and it helped my decision because that country is so regressive socially and politically, and I couldn't stand the idea of making money for misogynist individuals. Although it's not like the American oil tycoons aren't misogynist individuals now that I'm typing this out and thinking about it. I also didn't know at the time that oil was going to decline within a year of my leaving the industry, but that was just good luck. Story 13. Wish I did it sooner. Quality of life is the most important factor once you get above your comfortable living financial limit. Once that financial limit is hit, choose the path that makes you happiest. To think of how long I put up with those corporate middle managers. Story 14. A post that's actually relevant to me. I left a very well-paying job as a service director for a heavy machinery repair shop to detail yachts. I made a move to North Carolina to start a new life and had a new job at the said shop. Hated it. I worked 13 or more hour days. I was always tired. I was always angry. I gained weight pretty quickly, and my relationship with my significant other was strained. The only relief I had was going out on the water and fishing in the intercoastal waterways. No one I knew in California owned a boat. Almost all my friends in North Carolina do. I was exposed to a new lifestyle, and I fell for it hard. Fast forward a few months, and I angrily walked out of my job. By that point, being unemployed was better than being so angry every day. In about a week's time, I was scrolling Indeed and found a job posting for a detailer for a yacht and boat company. I jumped on it and I love it. It's a workout. I'm outside. I'm on the water. And I meet really cool people. One who is giving me sailing lessons and others that I talk to or who have taken me to awesome fishing and clamming spots. I realized that I was going through with my career in a shop because it was the first thing I found and was decent at. And I knew there was money for me in the long run. But I never actually enjoyed it. Now it feels like I'm on vacation every day, not looking forward to the winter though. And the best part about it is that the company I'm with will eventually pay me what I earned as a service director. I'm only 26, and I'd rather be patient and enjoy myself than rush and pushing ranks for a job I hate. I'm also meeting people that are helping me in my dream to buy a house on the water and get a nice fishing boat. Who knows? Maybe I'll even get a captain's license and turn my hobby into a great job or business. All I do know is that I've never been this happy at any job or position I've held. Life lesson: chase after the dream, not the money. Story 15. Not exactly high paying, but I was an event coordinator and site manager making $50,000 and hated it so much. My management team was remote and no one wanted to take time to get my site in order, so everything was always wrong, no matter how much preparation we did. My fiancé encouraged me to quit, and I went into retail at $8.50 per hour. I hated that too, but I found a better retail opportunity for $12 less than a mile from my apartment, and they are already talking about bumping me up to $16 per hour with potential to keep growing to over $70,000. So, as long as I keep improving, I'm set to do something better than I was, and it's an easy job. Story 16. I resigned from a job running a multi-million-dollar facility with 55 employees. I pretty much told them I was done on a specific date and quit with no backup plan. Ultimately, my mental health was terrible, and I was working 100-hour weeks with no vacations, so I was forced to choose between my health and my job. Eventually, I found a job paying close to minimum wage working at a drug treatment facility with kids. I loved it and went back to school to get my master's in special education. Now I teach special education full-time. Story 17. 200,000 to 60,000. Worth it completely. Eventually, I'll work my way back to the 200,000 range, but it will probably take a few years. I'm so much happier now. Edit. Job before. Information technology consulting with weekly travel. Job after. Software engineering. Remote. No travel. Story 18, 38 and married with 2 kids. Made $475,000 last year and was offered $660,000 to move to New York City. While I enjoyed the job and the people, I decided it was best for my family to stay in California. Now, I'm spending my days playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With my 7-year-old and Swords with my 4-year-old. It's more fun than work for sure, and I don't have to get up at 4:30 in the morning anymore, which is huge. In the middle of a transition, once my 4-year-old can go to kindergarten, I will pursue my master's degree and become a high school history teacher, which has always been my dream job. I've saved plenty, so the $50,000 from teaching isn't necessary, but it sure will help. Story 19. Bullied at my last job, so I went on holiday for 2 weeks. First week back, I walked in, handed in my resignation, and left. I am not taking any more of that nonsense. I found out those people are struggling to operate my machine, as I was the only one who knew the ins and outs of it. Haha. Story 20. Meat cutter and fry cook to software developer to janitor to senior development operations specialist and team lead. While I am paid a stupefying amount of money for what little I actually do, I sincerely miss actual work and felt more accomplished in content mopping a floor than writing code or configuring servers. That said, I can't go back due to child support.